This video is sponsored by Surfshark.
They don't let you say Winnie the Pooh in Marvel Rivals. This is pro-communist messaging. It's censorship. It's woke.
The anti-woke gremlins have not gotten any smarter, so let's just try to have a giggle and an aneurysm at the same time, shall we?
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay up to date on all future uploads. Now, to be slightly fair, I also think it's egregious that that name, among other things, is banned from the chat in Marvel Rivals. It's extremely funny and pathetic to be a world leader who is that sensitive over a resemblance to a cartoon character that isn't even that strong. But the idea that a government pressuring a games company to censor certain things that offend it is woke is so ass backwards as to turn inside out. You know what else is ass backwards? Going without a VPN as trackers, data harvesters, and suppression of media access gets increasingly tiresome. Yes, as you may have gathered from the beginning, we've bagged our first sponsor in the form of Surfshark. If you're like me and use mobile devices like a phone or laptop in public places, one thing you definitely don't want to happen is any old nosy dweeb getting a hold of your bank app information, or worse, seeing the first draft of your saucy Star Wars fanfic before it's ready to post. Which is where Surfshark comes in by securing your connection on public Wi-Fi. Surfshark will also keep your information locked down in general, and among other things can notify you about data breaches, keep you safe from viruses and malware, and of course, help out when the dreaded "this content is not available in your region" message pops up. As with Surfshark in place, you can switch your location and suddenly have access to the media you paid to see, and in my case, rewatch Train to Busan by changing my location from the UK to the US, because that is a banger film. So start expanding your horizons and protecting your data today with Surfshark by clicking the link below or going to surfshark.com/Khanlusa and get 4 months extra with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That is surfshark.com/Khanlusa. Now back to the video. You ever played an Assassin's Creed game? I have, plenty of times, and while my love-hate for the series has more to do with how bloated and unwieldy they've become as games, the folks over at the Woke Content Detector list have some very specific complaints, namely the disclaimer that pops up whenever you play Ask Creed regarding their multicultural team of various religious faiths, beliefs, and identities. Clearly, this is propaganda and not the dev team just covering their asses, because the whole point of the setting is playing extremely fast and loose with historical events, religious figures, and the very origins of humanity. This is like that one British politician complaining about too many black people in British adverts and framing it as someone pushing a diversity agenda, but the utterly mundane truth of it is that a lot of UK adverts are filmed in London, and wouldn't you know it, London has the highest concentration of black Brits. There's nothing sinister going on, you're just a deeply weird person. Aside from the disclaimer, the gremlins also take issue with totally normal things like out-of-place diversity in colonial America in the 18th century. Do they think America was empty when the settlers arrived and built without slave labor? It's important to me that they clarify whether they're racist, uneducated, or both. They have the same complaint about diversity during the golden age of piracy and Black Flag, and label Liberation and Freedom Cry as anti-colonial for playing as black people freeing slaves, like it's a negative aspect.
I hear you're a racist now, father!
They're also mad about a handful of non-white Vikings in Valhalla because they cannot fathom the idea that people traveled, willingly or otherwise, and no one is trying to say that there were a lot of black Vikings, just that they existed. Again, deeply weird.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Do you enjoy Metroidvania games? Well, you better not play BladeChimera by Team Ladybug because it's been contaminated by wokeism. Is that not enough? But a character is referred to with neutral pronouns. There's a femoid in charge of the resistance group and she's bossy. Don't you get it? We can't have a female character in charge and have her assert her authority over her male underlings. That just reminds the gremlins of their mother telling them off for leaving stiff socks out in the open again.
As a result, this game will be added as not recommended.
You know, before Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 came out of the digital closet, these kind of dweebs lauded its predecessor for being a bastion of anti-woke gaming in the industry, determined to drive them out. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. What even is this? Well, Note 1, a character makes a passing mention of a respected individual she used to know, who she describes as having both things and calls a hermaphrodite.
Nuremberg. And he was a hermaphrodite. He had both things. A respected person, a member of the town council.
And this is a point against the game because none of these nerds, derogatory, can fathom the idea of intersex people existing before the exact moment you're watching this video, nor can they wrap their minds around the fact that progress isn't linear, and different cultures at different points in time treated queer individuals like actual people and not abominations to be purged. Imagine. Notes 2, 6, 10, and 11 is just complaining about the totally optional instances of gay romance the player character can engage in, if they so choose. The rest of the notes are whining about the implications of gay feelings between characters, or shock and horror, actual gay feelings between characters, and Note 12 is a scene of Henry telling his ghost parents that he's going to live with Hans and it turning out okay. Like, what did you all want to happen here? Stupid question, obviously. They didn't want any of this to exist in the first place, but player freedom is good and censorship is bad, right up until two dudes kiss each other and then something Sweet Baby Ink did this to me personally. As for the DEI notes, oh boy! Most of them seem to take issue with women doing pretty much everything from being verbally defiant to accomplishing anything physical, because as we know, women are frail, gossamer waifs simply carried by the breeze until a man comes along. It's not like women aren't keenly aware the world isn't built with us in mind and find ways to compensate for our physical limitations. No, that would never happen. There's a lot of disdain in these notes for women being intelligent, not to mention cognizant of their station in the world and expressing frustration over it, which really just pierces that soft, squirmy underbelly of fear these kinds of dudes have for women. I guarantee you that none of these dudes would be able to buy tampons for a female family member without feeling like there's something icky about it. Like, TMI and all that, but I was already used to seeing my own blood years before I switched to a moon cup over tampons, highly recommend by the way, and now I'm more annoyed than anything else if I accidentally spill my own blood on my legs while changing it. Just by virtue of anatomy, most women are going to see blood way more often than most men. I phrased it like that on purpose, you don't have to bean soup me in the comments. Meanwhile, a good chunk of the other notes come from the narrative being sympathetic to the plight of Jewish people at the time, which is certainly a hill to die on as a criticism. Another sticking point is anything regarding the Malian character of Musa, a Muslim man who traveled far and wide and the protagonist treats like a person instead of being horrifically racist. Also a very cool and normal thing to hold against the game. It did give me a chuckle when the first note on Musa is him telling the protagonist to educate himself when he asks where Venice is, because Musa clearly says it in an "oh, you're missing out on so much" way, as someone who is well-traveled versus the player character who isn't. It's a completely normal interaction, but this is flagged under DEI. One of the funniest notes on Musa, however, is his claim that they eat yogurt in Mali, and how there is no historical evidence to support that. Once again, the supposed champions of historical accuracy take a massive L because humans have been fermenting milk since the fucking Neolithic era. They ate yogurt with honey in ancient Greece, the way Musa describes, but maybe this person just doesn't think they could have kept yogurt cold in Mali. It may surprise you to know that people were not unilaterally shitting in their hands until toilet paper was invented, and neither were they eating everything freshly made the day of before modern refrigerators were a thing. It being unknown to you that they had ice houses in places like Persia and used water evaporation techniques like Zir pots is not a point against the game. And yes, I know Mali, Egypt, and Persia are different countries. My point is that it being a hot country in the 15th century doesn't mean they didn't have ways of preserving and keeping perishable food. Not to mention that in countries like this, it can get extremely cold at night because large bodies of water are temperature regulators. You know what you don't often get in arid countries? Large bodies of water. That's why, if you live on the coast or by a lake, seasonal changes feel like they happen slower because the temperature isn't swinging wildly from one extreme to the next. These people are so chronically uncurious, and that's honestly the thing that spikes my blood pressure the most. They assume that because they've never heard of it, that there's wokery afoot. And for the people who specifically claim that the woke content detector is satire and shouldn't be taken seriously, I'm not talking about the web game where you guess if a game is considered woke or not, and I'm not just talking about the Steam group itself. We're dealing with people who post in game forums where calling folk the N-word for not losing their mind over pronouns is acceptable behavior, and crashing out over the most minute inclusion is considered reasonable.
Are there mods to remove the pride idiocy from the game called Celeste? I know of it as I used to try to help a woman I know get a grip of her anxious behavior, and though it did not work, I ended up liking how the game was enough to want to buy it on Steam, and learned today as I was revisiting the page, considering to play it, that it has a trans flag in it to ruin it all. My search on Brave and Google only ended up with results that are clearly curated, and Modding Haven doesn't seem to have anything to de-puzzle this. I would be willing to mod it myself if need be, but I wanted to ask here first in case there is some niche GitHub page or some such that I do not know about that already does what I'm looking for.
Need I remind any of you that the flag being referred to in Celeste is from this frame of a cutscene? Did you spot it? No? Yeah, I can see how that would ruin the entire game for you. Anyway.
I asked the forum, is this game woke, and an angry howl arose and the topic was deleted due to reports. The community of this game seems pretty woke and spiteful, I can't write on their forum anymore.
It started out okay, but then they introduced the lesbian detective and other nonsense. By the time I had quit, the whole game world was overrun with non-white refugee NPCs.
They didn't mention that there is a character in a recent expansion who explicitly transitions from a male to a female and really wants you to know. Your only dialogue choice is saying that's very brave of you.
Okay, first of all, if you're unfamiliar with Guild Wars 2, the setting has a bunch of queer characters at varying levels of importance to the plot, and it's pretty much just there the same way heterosexual relationships would be. Secondly, the character they're talking about in the last bit is a static NPC standing around in the major hub city of Lion's Arch, which was destroyed and rebuilt as part of a very dramatic story arc. This character witnessed the destruction and helped with the rebuilding, citing the event as her reason to transition because it showed her how quickly life can end before you've really lived it. And she tells you about it because the player character's bravery helped her feel brave enough to go through with it. That's why she tells you, because you inspired her, not because she's just telling any random passerby on the street. Thirdly, you are playing as a world-renowned, all-loving hero, typically referred to as the Commander. You are a known figure in the setting of the world. You play as a shining beacon of hope and faultless determination in the face of unwinnable odds, doing everything from battling world-devouring dragons to retrieving a child's toy from the top of a tree, because the Commander, above everything else, is fundamentally a kind and empathetic figure in the fabric of Tyria. Of course your only option is to be accepting, you witless cheese wheel. But that's all I have for you today. Shout out to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to claim your 4 months extra through the link below using the code Khanlusa. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below for the algorithm gods. Special shout out to my YouTube members and patrons who are all very handsome people. If you'd also like to be called a very handsome people, you can support what I do here or check out the link in the description. Members and tip jar patrons get their name in the credits, while patrons of the nerd tier will occasionally get behind the scenes content and video teasers. If you enjoy live streaming, I can be found over on Twitch, where I typically stream every Wednesday at 8 PM British time. But for now, don't forget to drink your water, take your medication, be kind to yourselves, and I will see you all next time.